Good morning. Good morning again for you that are hanging on to listen to the mountain goat presentation and enjoyed the bighorn sheep presentation that we did do. So, good morning, mountain goat tag holders, and welcome. Um, this is the Oregon chapter of the Foundation for North American Wild Sheep and Oregon Department of Fish and Wildlife. We want to assist you in making your Rocky Mountain goat hunt as rewarding and memorable as possible. Again, as many of you are already hunters, but these tags are rare and once in a lifetime, and we want to do everything possible to ensure a great hunting experience for you and a successful harvest. And so without a lot of mountain goat hunting experience, it's difficult to know what that billy you're looking at, what it might score, if it's a trophy, is it the trophy you're looking for? I think you're going to hear from many of the presenters throughout the day that any trophy that you get, any animal that you get out there is going to be a trophy for you. To assist you in this once in a lifetime hunting opportunity, we want to provide information so you can recognize that big billy, what it looks like in the field, and help you be successful. So we're also going to talk a little bit about the habitat. Mountain goat habitat, as you well know, can be extremely rugged and challenging. We'd like to also give you some information to prepare you for the physical and mental challenges unique to goat hunting. Typically, this workshop, we get together with you. We get together with the biologists. We tell stories. We spend time together. We have a lunch. And then we have a barbecue in the evening. There's breakout sessions with past hunters. Obviously, with the COVID, that's not going to happen. So we had to adjust, and we even had to adjust as late as last Wednesday. And so when you look at your agenda, you'll see that the agenda that you got, that we've had to adjust that a little bit too, and reduce the number of presenters. But we'll cover all the information that you need. In addition, we also suggest that you get with your local bio, learn about that hunt, learn about the maps. They know the landscape the best. They know those animals the best. They know that the past hunters the best, and so spend some time with your local Oregon Department of Fish and Wildlife biologist. I would also suggest that you visit your Forest Service or BLM, depending on where your hunt is located. They have folks with information as well as good maps, and then of course you can always get the good online maps. So if you have questions during the presentation, check into the chat room and write your questions in. We'll have a person monitoring that. And you goat hunters, this is a requirement. This will meet your requirement. And so please put your name into the chat room as well, so we can check you off as a participant in meeting that requirement. And with that, I would like to go ahead and welcome the first presenter, Shane. Hunting Mountain Goat Country with Shane Talley with Oregon Department of Fish and Wildlife, the Northeast Oregon region.
All right, my name is Shane Talley. I'm the Assistant District Wildlife Biologist out of Enterprise, Oregon. Most of the Rocky Mountain tags and Rocky Mountain sheep tags and goat tags are in my district. So contacting myself will be, for information on maps and tags and areas, and we'll share that at the end for all the biologist contact information. I've crammed about 4 presentations together, so we'll stumble through this one together. So a little bit on the history of mountain goats in Oregon. Restoration began in 1950. Mountain goats were released into the Wallowa Mountains. The few of our transplants over the years have occurred in a bunch of our different populations: Hat Point, Cornucopia, Eagle Creek, the Strawberry Mountains, Wanaha, Mount Jefferson, and this year they released a few more goats into the southern portion of the Wallowa Mountains. older slide. This is our 2018 current population estimates for each of the herds. And I'll give you guys some time to look at those. So one of the main things that I want to talk about is hunting mountain goat country. As you can see in some of these photos here in the background, this is your typical mountain goat country here in the back. I know it's a little bit difficult for you guys to see on the video, but we'll get into some closer views. Some of our country is extremely steep. This isn't a local photo, but it's very, kind of drives the point home of what you're kind of getting yourself into. You know, mountain goat country is not scary, but it is steep, it is rough, it is rugged. So we want you guys to be careful when you're out there, and be ready for what you're going to get yourself into. So you can see in the background a little bit here, some of the country that our mountain goats inhabit. I've got a lot of the Wallowa Mountains and Snake River country in here, and not so much the Strawberries, or any other areas we've got goats. So you'll see some alpine meadows here, which this then drops off into some of the country you see in the background back here, which is very steep and rugged. Some more of that alpine country. This is high elevation. You're sitting at about 8,500 feet here. So cold weather, warm weather, temperature shifts, and I lost my train of thought. But this is our Francis Lake Basin. It'd be the up on the Hurricane Divide. There are goats throughout all of this country. You can see how rough and rocky this country is here. Some big slick rock, slab granite back in the back, and very sharp peaks up here on top, sharp ridge lines. And so some of the areas, I don't know if you can see the arrow here up in the corner, is, you know, very good mountain goat habitat. And this comes into a lot of our common mistakes. First is not being conditioned mentally and physically for what you're going to be doing. Second is route finding. How are you going to get there, and how are you going to get your goat out? And a lot of these things also apply to sheep hunting that we've covered earlier. Locating your mountain goats. So that goes into, you know, where are they, what's going to happen when you shoot them, and then telling males from females, which is very difficult in the field at long distances. So we're going to go over a few of those traits. And then back to, you know, where is your mountain goat, deciding when to shoot. That's going to be a common or a very key point to hunt your mountain goat hunt, is deciding when to shoot that goat and when not to shoot. They can be in some areas, as you saw earlier from the goat on the or under the ledge. If you would have shot that goat, what's below it, where is it going to fall, and how are you going to get it back out? So into conditioning, first thing you really want to focus on is your physical conditioning. That's your muscles. So starting with some brisk walks, walk through vegetation, you know, walk with a pack on, some level ground, and it really depends on your level of conditioning. So being ready for this, you're going to be the one that suffers going up and down the mountains. You're going to be the one that either, you know, can't get to a goat or get to an area quick enough, or, you know, carrying that animal out, or your gear in. So you want to be in good physical condition to go on your hunt. So muscles, some weightlifting, have your pack on, you know, doing squats, brisk walks, walking uphill to start out. And then you want to get into your heart and lungs. You want to get your cardio and your respiration up. You want to get your heart beating. You want to get your lungs working, because you're going to get into, you know, 9,000 feet, 8,000, 9,000 feet, where there's a lot less oxygen than there is here in the Dalles or over on the coast. Or even, if you live in Enterprise where I'm from, that's around 4,000 feet. You're going to be going up, another 4,000 feet, and you've got to walk that way, all that way. And your gear, biggest, most important piece of gear for hunting mountain goats or sheep is going to be boots. Good quality boots that you've broke in already, that you have comfort level in their performance, and you've developed them to fit your feet. I got a new pair of boots and they fit great, but when I got hiking uphill, it develops a blister on the back end, and that's going to cripple your hunt. So getting your gear ahead of time now, hiking in those, working out in those, scouting in those, getting them broke in and ready to go, and then taking care of that gear for the hunt. Backpacks, tents, sleeping bags, making sure you're all ready to go. And the second part of conditioning is mental conditioning. You want to learn about mountain goats. You are going to be in some high country, so if you have a fear of heights, maybe get up there, get used to it. Don't stand on the edge of the cliff, but get up high and look down. Prepare yourself for that country that you're going to be in. And patience. You need to condition yourself for patience, whether it comes to when to take the shot, when to move, when not to move. Patience, patience, and more patience, and it's something I'm going to touch on throughout this presentation. Route finding is another common mistake. You glass up a goat across the canyon or on another ridge, and you decide you're going to go after that goat. That's your trophy, what you want to hunt, and you just take off. Well, your possibility of getting cliffed out, the possibility of not being able to get there, realizing there's another canyon between you. So finding a route that's going to work for you. Looking at the slope angle. In a lot of our country, there's a lot of slopes that you can't traverse on foot. They're too steep. The footing isn't there. So you're going to put yourself in a lot of danger trying to get across some of these steeper slope angles. So what you're going to look for are animal trails, vegetated areas. A lot of our vegetated areas, they're going to be in lower slopes where you can traverse across those a lot easier. Benches, scree fields where the rocks have come down, and that's where the scree slows down and stops. Snow fields are some good areas, but be very careful when you cross snow fields because we'll get a hot rock bed underneath. We'll develop a big cavern under the snow, and it may be only an inch or two thick on top of that snow field. And if you go across there, especially on a steep angle, you might.
Says we're having trouble viewing the video. Give me 1 second.
Okay. Sounds like we're having a little trouble with the video, so if you bear with us.
Somebody's got to catch up before we find out. Keep going.
All right. So some other things you're looking for are slick rock. These are going to be secure rock, solid rock, flip faces that you do want to be careful on because some of them can be steep, but they're going to provide a little bit more secure footing. So when you're locating goats, you want to position yourself with a good view. For a lot of this is long range spotting. And you're looking, across canyons on the next mountainside. So you're gonna look for feeding areas near cliffs where they can feed on some of the lush alpine grasses and forbs, and then get into cliffs for protection and cover. These can be on benches where they can a lot more secure footing, easier to walk for the animals, and then. Especially early in the season, looking on snow fields right at the break where the snow field meets the rock. They're going to lay there. It's a lot cooler for them. All right, that video didn't work out the way I thought it would. It's a video put on by the Rocky Mountain Goat Alliance. It's a very good video at determining between nannies and billies, and explains a little bit about what the implications of harvesting a nanny out of a population. So in Oregon, it is not illegal to harvest a nanny on your goat tag. Whatever you would like to shoot is your choice, but we would like you to harvest a billy. A lot of hunters are more happy with it, harvesting a billy. It gives you a better, quality trophy for a score, and so we want you to have the ability to identify between nannies and billies in the field, which is difficult. So telling the gender between on a mountain goat, you're going to look at the body size and shape. The video that we were going to show, we'll post in the comments, and we'll also send it out in the direct email after this is all over. You can also find it on YouTube by searching Rocky Mountain Goat Alliance. So the body shape and size are going to be some key characteristics, as well as horn conformation, urination posture, and external genitalia. And using multiple of these indicators will help you identify between billies and nannies. So starting with the body size, your males are going to have a stocky body, the big Roman bulge to the nose, a pronounced shoulder hump, and pronounced pantaloons, which are the glands behind the horns. So you can see in the photo on the right, that stocky body shape, and pronounced shoulder hump. And then females are going to be a bit smaller, here on the left, smaller body and a smaller beard. That shoulder hump isn't as pronounced, but we'll see later in a couple photos that sometimes the hair will make that shoulder hump look a little more pronounced. So body size and shape is going to be some of your first indicators. So your adult billies are going to have that very large shoulder hump that kind of runs into the neck. Your adult nannies, that's not going to be as pronounced. You're going to see a little bit of change between the shoulder and the back of the neck. But this can be confused with 2-year-old billies here lower, where it's a younger billy. It's not as large of a body stature, more similar size to the adult nannies. And then yearlings are going to be smaller than the 2-year-olds, and kids, as you can see in the photo here. And this nanny behind the kid here, you can see how the hair makes the shoulder hump look more pronounced. And if you're just looking from a long distance away, that may seem like a pronounced shoulder hump there. Second thing, and something you'll see when you get closer, is going to be your horn conformation. The males have large bases, and you're looking at the base of the horn compared to the eye in a side profile. So the bases of the horns will be larger than the diameter of the eye. Those bases are also close together, as you can see on the right over here, versus the left with this nanny. And the base, it's a very heavy base with a uniform taper from the base to the tip, and then the curvature of the horn. It's going to be more uniform throughout the curve of the horn versus where a nanny will tend to rise and then curve at the tip. So with a more straight conformation to that horn. The nannies are going to have bases smaller than or equal to the size of the eye. There's going to be a wide space between the horn bases, and they're going to be thinner throughout the entire length. Sometimes they're going to be a very steady, thin diameter from the base up through the majority of the length of the horn. And then that strong curvature at the very end of it. And so here you can note the difference between the two horn conformations, between the nanny on the left and I'm looking at this all wrong, so I gave you lefts and rights according to me and not to you. So billies were on your left in the previous slides and nannies were on the right. But here the billy is on the right and the nanny is on the left, and you can note the difference between the horn conformation there. Urination posture is going to be a fairly dead giveaway. I won't say 100%, but males are going to stand up, stretch the hind legs backwards. Usually after they've been bedded for a period of time, you'll see them get up and urinate. The back legs splay out to the side slightly, and they'll arch their back, as you can see on the left side of the screen, where the females' nannies will squat with the rump near to the ground. And the external genitalia, the testicles are visible from behind. This may not be the case early season when they're still shedding off, or later seasons when they start to fur up for winter. And the same thing with the females; they'll have a dark vulva patch if they're shed off through the summer. So, using a combination of those to identify between a nanny and a billy. One thing this didn't cover was the pantaloons, which are at the base of the horn. And you can kind of see here on the billy this gland at the back of the horn versus the nanny is less pronounced here. And you may not see this very well on the video, but it's going to be a very large gland at the back of the base of the horn. So deciding when to shoot. First question, is this the right animal for you? Is this what you consider a trophy? Every goat that you harvest is a trophy. It's what you decide, what you want to hang on your wall. Have you decided between a nanny and a billy? Is there a broken horn? What do you want to see hanging on your wall? So deciding between two animals, determining between a nanny and a billy, and you can possibly see here is that pantaloon here at the base of the horn, at the shadow of my finger. And then the bases are close together. The diameter is larger than the eye. Go ahead.
We have a question. It says, will both males and females show the gland at the base of the horns?
Yes, it will be more pronounced on the males.
Got it.
So one very important thing is, can you get to your goat after the shot? Can you get to the goat before you're shot? This picture here is the Hat Point country for the Hat Point tag, and there's an arrow right here on the screen pointing to a goat right here. There's a goat right here, which is at that point, that arrow. And so you found that goat. If you want to shoot that goat, how are you going to get to that goat? Another arrow here on the screen. If you shot that goat, where's that goat going to go? How are you going to get to that goat after you do shoot it? Will it fall and be destroyed? These are very tough animals, but if you fall and bounce off rocks for a couple 100 feet, there may not be anything left, or much. And very key to making those decisions is patience. Patience, patience, patience. Waiting till that animal comes out to an area where you can get to it on an easier slope that you can, where when you shoot that animal, it will fall and maybe roll or fall in place. And don't depend upon your first shot for the animal to die. You hear people about anchoring it in its bed. Doesn't happen very often with mountain goats. They're very strong. They're very tough animals. So being patient on where that animal is, and when you deciding to take your shot. And from here, we'll go into field judging mountain goats. Larry Jacobs with Oregon Fanaz is going to go over field judging goats.
Okay, I've got a couple goats up here, and one would, this is kind of the maximum versus minimum. and it's a comparison of two record book goats. The top goat, as you can see here, is the world record Rocky Mountain goat, scoring 56 and 6/8. The lower goat is a goat that scores 47 and 7/8. And I put this up there just so you could see the difference in those two goats. If you're looking for a really exceptional goat, you know, that top goat, the horn length is 12 inches. The bases are 6 4/8. You can see that mass carries up a long ways. You make the comparison between the base of the horn and the eye, and you can see that top goat, the base of that horn is almost 2 times the size of that eye. Even the lower goat, you know, the base of the horn is much larger than the eye. So, you know, and also in looking at these goats, you can make some comparison, you know, from the base of the horn to the length of the nose, you know, and compare it to the, you know, to the length of the horn. You know, I think, you know, if you're out there hunting and you found a goat that you feel kind of meets the criteria that you're looking for, you know, and the big question is it big enough? You know, I guess you know, it depends on what you're looking for. Like was mentioned later, any goat can be a trophy goat, but if you're wanting a true outlier, there's certainly some things, you know, to look at. And I try and break it up into 3 sections. First would be determining the length of the horn, and then on a general rule, you know, if you were to go from the base of the horns to the tip of the nose, you're looking at somewhere around 9 inches. And there's certainly nothing wrong with a 9-inch goat. I'd say the average goat is going to be, you know, probably the average goat harvested is probably going to be somewhere around 9 inches. You know, and then as far as you know, the average base, most of the bases are going to be probably in that 5 to 5.5 inch. You know, if you want something really exceptional, you know, you might look for something around that 6-inch mark, but they're going to be very few and far between. So, you know, all of this just depends on what you're looking for. But in determining that, you know, that horn length, again, you know, look at the tip of the nose to the base of the horns. And if you guys are looking through a spotting scope and you've got a digiscope like, you know, many hunters do, take a few pictures and take something and gauge it. You know, you gauge that picture, you know, from the base of the horn to the length of the nose. Put it up against that horn, and if we go back here to here, I mean, even in this picture, you know, if you wanted to take something and gauge, you know, the base of the horn to the length of the nose and put it up against those horns, you'll see that, you know, that 9 inches on this other goat, it's right up about there. So, you know, that's that's certainly a 12-inch goat. The other thing, you know, the second thing is mass, and we've you know, touched on this some. You know, if you want a true outlier or a larger goat, you know, try and find a goat that horn base is going to be about 1.5 times the width of the eyeball. You know, if you're finding you know, a goat that you think is close to 6 inches, I mean, you know, you better be putting him in your sights and thinking about harvesting that goat, because he's probably a true outlier. The other thing would be symmetry, and this is a little bit hard to judge. I mean, if there's a difference in the length of the horns, if there's one horn that's, you know, has a broken tip or you know, or something else, you know, there's going to be some difference in symmetry. So those are things to pay attention to. and it will affect the score to a smaller degree. So, looking at some of these pictures, you know, you can see the bases of those horns on that goat. In this picture, you can see that, you know, that mass carries up there a ways, but you know, it could carry up a little bit further. Here's a goat that you know, it's got good mass, and you can see the glands around the horns, and of course it's pretty easy to tell what sex that goat is. Here's a little closer picture. I believe this goat was harvested the following year that this picture was taken, and this ended up being about a 50-inch goat. And you can see, if you compare the base of those horns to the size of that eye, and it's you know, you can see that, you know, that's a goat that has some good mass, and you can see that mass carries up. This is not the best picture, you know, a straight-on picture is probably not the best picture to you know, gauge the horn length and but you know, and the mass, but you can see in this goat that it's an exceptional goat. Here's another picture of a goat. You know, if you make the comparison, you know, this goat has got quite a bit more hair, so it's a little harder to make that comparison. But you can look at the shape of the horns and see that that's certainly a belly. So with that, I would say, you know, pay attention to those things out in the field, and you know, good luck on all your hunts.
Larry, we have a couple questions.
Sure.
Does the gene pool of goats in Oregon allow for a record book goat?
I would say Oregon is probably one of the states where you've got the best chance for a record book goat. I mean, there's been a number of goats in Oregon, and it seems like a goat just about every year makes Boone and Crockett out of Oregon. So yes, you do have a good chance at getting a record book goat out of Oregon. So.
And you'll probably make the Oregon record book anyways, because there's not that many goats in it. Another question that you or our biologist from Enterprise might be able to answer: pack out weight of a deboned goat, cape, and head.
Shane, do you want to take that one on? I would say a deboned goat, you're going to have over 100 pounds of meat.
Yeah, it depends on how good you are. Oh,
Good right there.
try to maintain our social distancing. It depends on how good you are, how clean you cut that meat off the bones. So 100 pounds would be about right. That cape is going to be, you can clean a lot of meat scrap and tissue off of your cape. It also depends on how wet that cape gets. So if you get that cape wet, it soaks up a lot of water, a lot of moisture. So, but-
And then you covered it a bit, but could you give us a brief description on scoring a goat?
Okay. So on a goat, it's the scoring is similar to scoring on a bighorn sheep. You take the length of the horns and then your quarter measurements to measure the base, first quarter, second quarter, third quarter. It's scored, you know, very similar to a bighorn sheep.
And then difference between its two horns, subtracts.
There is a deduction for difference in length and bases on a goat. So.
Okay. I think that, actually we have a couple. Will older goats grow longer hair and start growing hair earlier?
No, I don't believe so.
I haven't had that experience.
Get back into the view here. No, it's going to depend upon the photo period and weather in your area. If you've got a warmer climate where your goats are, they're going to develop hair later, which will usually be, they'll start developing in that October time period, is when we're starting to get a lot of weather in our goat country.
Okay, and I think that's all we have for questions. We'll leave questions open for a bit for the goat tag holders. If you do have any questions, put them into the comments section. and we will bring up the goat presenters as they come. Next.
So next we'll have Walter Chuck with Oregon FNAS.
Thank you, Shane, and once again, congratulations to all the tag holders, and welcome to our virtual workshop. All of these presentations from earlier today and right now will be up on YouTube in next week, so please be sure and look for those. And once again, we apologize for not being able to do this workshop in person. It is what it is these days. This is one of the highlights of the year for ODFW staff and for Oregon FNAS to meet you folks. It's great to interact with you, with everybody, not just the tag holders, but the past tag holders that show up and the hunting parties. So I have yet to draw one of these tags, so next year. As the biologists have said, and Larry and Shane, this is a great opportunity to be able to hunt Rocky Mountain goats in your home state. It's even a more unique opportunity than hunting sheep. Last couple of years, the governor's tag has gone for quite a bit of money, and once again, that money goes straight to goat management. These tags are very exclusive, and once again, all the projects that are done in goat country don't just benefit goats, they benefit all other species. Want to acknowledge and thank ODFW for their hard work on reintroduction and management. The goat herds are expanding at a great rate. I went back and looked at a couple of the old synopsises, and we only had 6 units open in 2012. We now have 13. So that in less than 10 years, we've doubled the amount of units that are open. And the tags went from just around 10, and we have 27 tags right now. So you have, as Larry said, you have an opportunity to harvest a great specimen due to the good management and conservative allotment of tags. I have a good friend, Don Martin, who's a sheep guide and goat guide up in Alaska, and so I was really excited about being able to do this. So I actually asked him to give some tips and to kind of also help. What Shane said is very true. He said, be patient. They're on their own schedule. He said he's waited 2 to 3 days to harvest a goat till it got to the right spot. Their ears aren't that long, so if the horns are sticking up above the ears, take a look at them. The horns, and this was a clue that I hadn't even thought of, and I've seen a few of the ones at the workshop. The horns on a big billy are egg-shaped. So if they're bigger from the side than they are from the front, that's another good indication. He said late weather, where he's at, the weather will push them down. And as Shane said, don't spare the bullets. They're not that heavy. And the billies are tough, powerful animals. And he said there's a big difference between retrieving an animal from the top and all the way to the bottom. So these animals live in some of the most remote, rugged, and beautiful terrain in Oregon. So don't just get up there and harvest your goat. Take some time, take some pictures, take some videos. Enjoy the experience. It's your once in a lifetime. Unless, as Larry, you see one up there that Larry had that's 56 inches, don't be in a hurry. Look them over. There's plenty of goats up there. It's not a matter of harvesting one, it's the one you want to see. And it's the same as with sheep. There's no honor in tagging out in the first two hours. It's going to take you a long time to get out there. Some of those units, a day, maybe 2 days pack in. So don't waste that time just getting it over and done with. Be prepared to have the time of your life. Be sure to get yourself and the members of your party in shape. It's some pretty rugged country up there, and you don't want to have your hunt shortened because you can't make it or because of something happens to you physically. Make sure you have the proper equipment and the means to transport your trophy out. And can't stress the importance of good footwear and optics. And we'll be putting up a quiz from a last efficient game up on the website also, and so you can take that. We're sorry we had the technical difficulties, but it is what it is. The biologist we had here, Shane, is very dedicated to the mountain goats. I want to thank him for doing this. It's one of the first times I've been able to sit through the whole goat seminar. It's very informative for me, and makes me more excited to draw my tag next year. Once again, Oregon FNAWS does work with the goat program, so we aren't just sheep, we are goats. So please consider going to our website and joining and coming with us, coming to a few of our meetings, our board meetings, or after our events. Come to our habitat projects. We're going to start listing those. We do list them on our Facebook page. Everybody is more than welcome to come up there. And you also saw the video that we were not able to show, the Rocky Mountain Goat Alliance. They're another very good conservation group for goats, so consider giving their web page a look, and consider joining them. Send us pictures. Have a great hunt. I want to thank you all for attending the virtual workshop, and once again, we truly miss having this interaction. That's the biggest thing that I miss is meeting the people face to face, because it's like Christmas, and Christmas you didn't know it was going to happen. So thanks again. Please consider joining our group, and congratulations again, and we'll see you next year.
Thank you, Walter. We have a couple more questions, so we're gonna invite Shane back up and ask, when do goats rut?
The mountain goat rut usually occurs in November and December, early part of December.
What's the lifespan of a mountain goat?
I don't know exactly what the typical lifespan of a goat is. We usually harvest between 7 and 8 year old goats. It varies between, of course, younger goats and some older goats. My dad harvested an 11-year-old nanny in Montana a number of years ago.
In your opinion, what is going to be the hair growth difference from 1st of August to end of August?
Not a whole lot. They won't start developing that hair until into October timeframe, once we start getting cooler weather.
And I think that's it for questions. Congratulations, tag holders. If you did not put your name in the comments section, please do so we can check you off for mandatory. The names that I am missing are Justin's, Jay, Robert, John, Ryder, Giovanna, and Jared. So if you are one of those lucky tag holders, please comment so we can check you off as completing your mandatory mandatory orientation. Again, thank you all, and we appreciate it.